Are you ready for the Toilet Paper Diaries, Season 2?
Are you sick of wondering how to make money and wondering what you need to do in lockdown in the worst possible situation you could ever dream of, and then turning it around to being something successful? If that's the case, this is the show for you.
We are live from Dubai and from Houston, and this is Ernesto Verdugo, and we have
Dave Crane and his lovely wife Aziza, who won't say hello because it's not just she doesn't like you, she's just very far.
Hey, we are in day number 1 again.
It's gone 4 months now, so that was a reality. They've said it could actually run longer. It could be 4 to 5 years before we see the whole thing clear away. And without putting more doom and gloom onto it, recently they were talking yesterday about potential swine flu coming out of China to join it. So you know what? It's going to be non-stop parties for everybody. So we'll have to keep you posted. It's kind of bonkers. But hey, that's what we're here for. We're here with Toilet Paper Diaries, which we thought was a ridiculous name a day after we said it. But it makes more sense than ever to think that we're still here doing what we're doing.
The pandemic meter here that we have, it was intended for 99 days. Right now we are in the second round in day 01, and it is just absolutely insane. Right now, in exactly the same way, this is what is really crazy. Exactly 101 days ago was when President Trump said no European can come into the United States. And right now, the European Union has said no American can actually go back into Europe. So and now it's the other way around. Right now, we are at 45,000 people infected per day. It is predicted that by the end of August, we're going to be at about 100,000 per day. The contagion is just insane. And for me, I mean, without thinking about it, I mean, every time that I see posts of people saying, well, you know, why are we doing this? Why are we quarantining? Why are we, you know, I have 5 people that I know personally that have been infected with COVID. And now, more than anything, I see it as clear as possible. All those people which are saying that this is just a manipulative thing and that they're not going to be wearing masks and that...
They're saying it's a 5G conspiracy so they can get your face and all the rest of the stuff that we're talking about. Well, that's what they were saying before.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are saying. So it is for me incredible. In fact, our friend Mike Morgan, remember Mike? He's already with the Rona. And he's been posting several things about what his thoughts were and how his thoughts are right now in Facebook. And it is really just interesting to see the comparison between people that are completely away from it and people that are already suffering it. And I mean, this is just something that 100%, it's not a conspiracy. It is, I mean, we have also followed some other conspiracy theories, and we can buy into some of them. But this one, I think it's a complete reality, and I definitely think that we're going to go here with for a while. You know what I have been doing, and it's also something that I recommend you. If you're watching the show, I recommend you to go to toiletpaperdiaries.com. I'm going to just set up here the website for you, because I've been doing something very interesting, Dave. Previously, you were checking on, you were listening to all the podcasts when you were taking the dogs out and you were going for a walk and then you were listening to the podcasts. Well, let me tell you what I have been doing recently, because of course I've been learning that for SEO for YouTube, that one of the things that YouTube requires you to actually do is to actually watch the videos that you have uploaded to your channel in your IP address. So I basically need to watch all the shows. And believe it or not, I've been watching every single one of the episodes of the Toilet Paper Diaries. And the amount of information that I have learned, it's insane, because of course we have been reporting every day the progress, how we feel, what's going on, what has happened. Plus, of course, on top of that, we have been sharing quite a lot of really good information. And right now I feel that now we're entering into the second round in our pandemic clock, I can understand a lot better than the rest of the world. So I definitely recommend you to go to the Toilet Paper Diaries and listen to the podcasts. It is really, and not because it's us, but because, of course, it's a diary. And that's why it's a diary of every single thing that has happened, combined with the understanding that we are right now having. Very powerful.
I want to say something. Just stop. Right. Go back a bit to COVID. I've lost friends who've died from COVID. I've had lots of friends who've been ill, lots of friends who have died from COVID. And it wasn't funny then, it's not funny now. So I just want to explain to everybody that we may be joking about the experience of it, but it is very serious. And we urge everyone to take as many precautions as possible that we can do. And you're absolutely right about the SEO and everything. What this show is designed to do now, when we first started it, it was all about getting you through the pandemic to the other side. And then we realized halfway through that we wanted to be able to help you reinvent your business. And so with that, that's the sort of tack that we're being on. But we're being as honest as possible. The whole experience, as you said, Ernesto, about checking on how we've changed our tune. The one thing that's a thread, I think that you've already spotted it, and for me as well, is the fact we're always open and honest. Everything we go through, we share with you, and every day we share with you what's happening. Not so much to catalogue what's been happening in politics. We try and avoid that because we don't want to offend people, and we certainly don't want people to switch off because our own political affiliations are different to yours. But we just want to make sure that we give you as much as we can to keep you safe. That's pretty much true, isn't it?
Dave, how are we going to get started? Let's just get started with the incredible information that you have prepared for this show.
You talked about virtual makeovers on Monday, and it was all about the time tunnel and all about the alternative realities. Do you want to sort of like bring us up to speed on that? And then we'll go into what today's show is really all about.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have not seen that episode, you have to see episode number 57 because it's just been uploaded. It's now on YouTube. It's also on the in toiletpaperdiaries.com on the podcast. And it's been really nicely and very tightly edited. And we were basically going on the story that there's a parallel reality. And I like using this metaphor because we were just moving into one direction and then suddenly we were skewed, and right now we're in a complete different direction. And I think it is absolutely critical that you understand that this parallel reality is going to be basically where we're going to be in, and we're not going to come back to anywhere. There's not going to be the old normal. It's going to be completely new. Everything is going to change. I mean, I think right now travel has changed completely as we were starting this episode, and we're going to talk about it in a moment. The possibilities of doing events is going to be changed. So we're completely in a new reality. And right now what we need to start doing is start living in a different way. Just forget about what was happening in the past, because whatever was happening in the past is not going to keep on happening or not going to come back in a long, long time, if ever.
No, you go ahead, because I was going to say one of the things about the new normal is the new normal changes every day. Because we were talking about coming out of it in a year. What's the world going to be like? I don't think anything of the old life is going to be there. I think it's going to be a new Blade Runner style economy of some description, because the old things that we used to do just won't make sense. What's even going to be more freaky is the lack of trust you'll have over people with their hygiene and not just theirs, but the people they know and the people that they know, because of the nature of what we're having to go through right now. But with all that, Ernesto, I think it's important to say today's show is all about how you run your business. Today's show is all about the mindset you need. It's about the changes you need to have to be able to run a business right now. And I guarantee you that if you follow the steps that we're going to share with you in today's show, you will have a brand new business that you could launch today. That's our promise to you.
Make sure that you subscribe if you're watching in YouTube. Make sure that you're sharing this video if you are watching it on Facebook Live. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can support us. And you can also keep on growing with us, because we are doing a journalistic effort in order to give you a more sensitive reality than what the stream media is actually doing.
So I'm going to start by asking a question. Were you ready for the crisis? Were you ready for everything you've had to face? or were you finding that things were just falling into place? All you had to do was just stay in, wear a mask and gloves when you went out, but everything was fine. The odds are that you weren't ready. And the crisis that came along and the one that we're experiencing right now is completely new for you. But it doesn't have to be like that. At any point, you can reinvent and you can decide how to act when a crisis comes your way. So what we're going to do to start off today's show is look at crisis management and how you can actually look at all the different elements and have an example and then apply that to where you are right now before you move on. So it doesn't matter what happens in the news, you're kind of ready to go. And we've got a video to share that with you. So have a look at this.
This is a story about John. John is a local franchise business owner. John, unfortunately, isn't having the best day. While answering phones, he began receiving calls from several customers complaining that there had been fraudulent charges made to their credit cards that are being traced back to his office. They are demanding full refunds of the stolen money from John, or they will go to the police, the media, and post about how terrible a company this is on all the review and social media sites. John is overwhelmed and emotional. This is not the best mental state for John to be making decisions, but decisions have to be made. John knows that this crisis could damage his reputation and in turn cost his business a lot of money. But John was smart. John built and trained a crisis management team well before the disaster struck. They had a plan in place, knew who to call, what steps to take, and how to control the situation. They worked together on their crisis plan and saved John a lot of money, worry, and sleep. Today, John and his business are doing great.
So there we are. Obviously, that video was made before the crisis. Otherwise, John would have been wearing a mask and everybody would have been as well. But even if you've got a team, that makes sense to you. If you're on your own, then just imagine the descriptions of all those different people in the office is what you need to take on to be able to do it. And the thing is, whatever you survive will make you stronger. That's the bottom line with everything when it comes to doing this. And so you have to think differently as you reinvent yourself. So I would say the challenge for many people is what happens with your job. And so with that, if you're thinking about what you need to do once you've got your crisis management head on, then the next thing would be obviously creating a business that can work from here. And it has to be a digital business. Have you wondered how you can make a digital business come together and what the steps are? Well, we're going to share a diagram with you so you'll be able to see exactly how that should come together. I'm going to walk through the steps with you so you'll be able to understand how you go from where you are right now to where you truly need to be in basically 5 easy steps. So if we can go full screen on this, this is called the 5 Levels of Autonomy by Matt Mullenweg. And it basically starts off as a template for taking a digital makeover to your business. Now feel free to jump in at any stage, Ernesto, because we haven't got the pleasure of seeing your beautiful face or mine either. So if we start with the yellow, I'll describe it and jump in if you want to. Yellow means that you got a job, but that job cannot be done unless you're physically there. And that accounts for a ton of people. Really challenging for that. That's level 0. Level 1 is orange. And what that is about is if you make no deliberate effort to make things remote friendly. So you're waiting for everything to snap back. Now, these are mindset things as well as business things and as well as practical things you should be working towards, like the Maslow triangle of success and needs. So then you go to level 2. Level 2 is a pink one. Everything's still clunky, and whenever you try and adjust things, they suddenly stop your day. And that happens all the time, which means you're not really running a smooth business in the new way of dealing with stuff. Then we go to level 3, which is purple, and that means that you're starting to do stuff that's remote, but you've got to distribute stuff all over the place, but you don't really have the travel and location logistics in place yet. Then we move up slightly, we go to the next one, level 4, and your staff are now working from home. Now, this is for you to judge how far you've come with your reinvention. Your staff are working from home. You've got a perfect relationship with your staff. You don't try and get everybody in, but you're already on the same page. And now you have your relationship with the outside world. That's really where you want to be thinking. And if you're not working with staff, think about the fact, and we're going to be talking about this soon, about outsourcing. You can have staff, even if you're a solopreneur. And the final thing, level 5, is nirvana. This is the idea that you are a world leader in your own particular type of business. You do it better than anybody could do it. You're seen by people, I guess, by Google as much as everything else, as the top person. And the kind of business you run would not have existed with the efficiency and the power that you have now if you'd run it in the old bricks and mortar business pre-pandemic. So those are the steps you need to look towards launching your business. Now, the beautiful thing is we'll be sharing this on social media, but you can also look at the 5 levels of autonomy by Matt Mullenweg, and you can see exactly how to work your way up with that. Bit of a challenge, bit of a mouthful, and it's going to hurt your head, but you can see it's kind of worthwhile.
Once again, on the video that you were showing a little bit earlier about crisis prevention and crisis management, one of the things that we need to right now do is we already went through the first 90 days, 100 days, and what has happened. And that took us, everybody, by surprise. I mean, hardly anybody was prepared. Right now, we have to prepare. I mean, right now, we cannot afford this to happen twice. They say that the only people that do the same mistake twice are humans. I mean, no other animal will do that. Just humans do the same mistake twice. So right now, my call to action and Dave's call to action is to let you know that we need to prepare. So what you're offering right now, it's gold.
Thank you. And here's a question for you now. And I know it's a challenge for many people. It's not a challenge for Ernesto. It's not a challenge for me. Have you ever reinvented yourself? And if so, how often do you do it? Ernesto, you have reinvented yourself many times. I have reinvented myself. Could you just give some examples for people who are wondering, what do you mean reinvent yourself? Are you going to come back, transgender, or are you going to change some things? What do you mean reinvent yourself?
Well, reinventing yourself, if we're going to be talking about reinventing yourself, I think this is the right time to make sure that you let other people know about it and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Once again, we have to keep on repeating it because we want to make sure that more and more people listen to this message. Yes, I've been reinventing myself many times. I come from a very traditional country where if I would have just followed what my mother and my father told me, I would have possibly end up working on a van and working on a bank, not on a van, working on a bank and just basically doing, not working on a van, on a taco truck. That's not what I was, but I'm saying I would have worked on a van and I would have just stayed there in my country and being exactly the same way that 3 or 4 generations of my family has been. However, I decided to see a different world. I decided to go elsewhere. I decided to figure out, well, they told me I would like to travel. Well, traveling is very expensive. I reinvented myself and I figured out a world in how to travel the world without me. I mean, actually how to get paid to travel the world. I figured out by rechanging few things on my mind, I managed to get a number of things that are basically kind of reinvention. My favorite reinvention example is Madonna. Because, of course, I mean, you do not know me, you possibly do not know Dave, but I am sure that you know Madonna. I mean, she has gone from the material girl to any character. Just search about how many different facets of her life that she has gone through. And this is the reason why she keeps on being extremely relevant to this point in time. So, yeah, absolutely, reinvention, it's absolutely critical.
Absolutely, and I love that example of Madonna. Madonna's business model is incredible. What she does, what she did, she's not been so prolific recently, but what her business model was she'd look for the new type of music that would be coming through. She'd partner with the best practitioner and producer of that type of music, make an album, and they'd go, wow, working with Madonna, they'd give the best material to Madonna. She'd bring out this incredible new album that would just change everybody's attitude to music. And once that had come out and it got her to an even higher global status, she'd move on to something else and do that with a brand new artist. And she did that all the way through. And if you look at her albums from Ray of Light to the Vogue stuff to the hip hop stuff that came through, every stage there's new directors, there's new producers and new musicians. She's a brilliant musician herself, but she was responsible for that. So Don't be scared to think, well, I've always done this. What happens if I do something else? Well, what happens if you don't do something else? Right now, you have to make a new relationship with the outside world. Right now, you've got to think, what are they going to pay me for? What's the criteria that they're going to want to work with me for?
The reinventions that we have had, they have been voluntary. I mean, we have done voluntary reinventions. Madonna has done voluntary reinventions. Right now, it is mandatory reinventions. We have no other choice. And this is a big difference. So right now, if you're listening to us right now, let us know. I mean, right now, please write down there on the comments, how have you reinvented yourselves, and how do you think that you can actually reinvent yourself in the future? So, Dave, let me go back into the hedgehogs.
Okay, that's not the problem. Let's not go back into hedgehogs. Let's talk about hedgehogs. So if you don't know what a hedgehog is, you won't see a picture of one here, unfortunately. But if you imagine, it's like a rodent with like a porcupine with spikes on the outside. And the reason it's called a hedgehog concept, it was put together by a gentleman called Jim Collins, who wrote some brilliant books, including Good to Great and Built to Last. And these books talked about how a company can last for 100 years. Looking at, first of all, the owner who created it, then the children who took over the business, and then the grandchildren who didn't want to take over the business. How can you guarantee your company would stay that long? And to do that, you have to have a couple of different principles that you put in when you create it. So these three circles will illustrate to you how you create your new hedgehog concept based on the idea that a natural hedgehog has got a brilliant defense against any predators without having to make any effort whatsoever. So you will want to make a note of this or even write it down and work on it afterwards. I use it all the time. 3 circles. First one, the bottom left, the blue one, what could you feasibly be the best in the world at doing? You don't have to be the best in the world, but certainly you need to be very effective. So you can turn around and say, leave that to me, I know what I'm doing, or I've got an advantage over everybody else around me because I know how to do this really well and I'm very good at doing it. The next circle is the red one at the top. And that questions you to say, what am I passionate about? What do I love doing so much that I'd never get bored of doing it? I could do it all the time and try not to get rid of this. But it would really be something that it would make me happy. I'd never want to sleep and just keep it going all the time. And the third circle is the green one there. And that was what drives your economic engine. Now, let me put that into real nuts and bolts. What will people pay for? Not what do you want to do, but what will the world actually pay you to do? Now, it's important to get all three because in the center is your hedgehog. That's your win. If you get any two, then it's either not sustainable, not realistic, or you'll make money, but you'll hate it because it's not what you're passionate about. Once you've worked out what your win is, that's your hedgehog. So when you reinvent your business today, make sure your hedgehog is what you're doing and not anything other than that.
The most important point here, and I think you are absolutely correct, and this is exactly what the point that we want to carry across, is the green circle. What drives your economic engine? Which that's basically the part of the reinvention that you really need to take into consideration. I mean, what you were doing in the past might not be working right now, and it is not about trying to, well, I have to go virtual. Like, for example, in our case, the speaking industry, everybody says, well, it's going to be easy because, of course, we're going to be doing webinars and we're going to be doing Zooms. And then you go and try to see the people which are just doing Zoom meetings, and they are incredibly boring because they have never had any broadcasting experience. Do they need to reinvent themselves? Absolutely, because what they were doing, they might be fantastic on the platform, but they are absolutely terrible broadcasting.
Absolutely. And tomorrow's show, by the way, in the Fast Forward show, which you have to be able to subscribe and join our group on Facebook, the Fast Forward Show. There's the details there. Go to facebook.com/groups/Fast Forward Show. In there, I'm going to show you the gig I did this week, which was completely virtual. And it wasn't a Zoom, and it wasn't a webinar, but what it did have was a virtual version of me inside a virtual world, inside a virtual conference center with all the guests from all around the world with their avatars in there, watching me on a big stage with a screen behind me showing my PowerPoint. When I share this with you, it will blow your mind as to how the game has changed so much. And if you're interested in working with us, by the way, on these different things, make sure you connect with myself and Ernesto, because we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to help you start your business and move you forward as well. And that we'll be sharing with you how to get in contact with us. There you go. thedavecrane.com is my direct contact. All the ways to contact me there. And for Ernesto, ernesto.today. We would love to help you when you reinvent your hedgehog on your business, and make sure you stick with this show, because we're going to be sharing with you more tips, more techniques, and you cannot get it anywhere else. So make sure you stick with Toilet Paper Diaries. So I've got a question for you now. And this question is, if you've worked out what your hedgehog is, you're probably thinking, I can't do it alone. How do I move forward? And there's a very simple answer for this. There's two answers, one of which is joint ventures. The other one is, and Ernesto, you're an expert at this. What would you say?
Yeah, it would be outsourcing.
No. There you go. Outsourcing. Now, you may not be aware what outsourcing is, but would you like to explain it, Ernesto?
You know what? We have a great video about it, so why? Let's just make it easy and let's show them what outsourcing is all about. Have a look.
The convenience economy is nothing new. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, first world families have been willing to cough up hard-earned dough to spend less time on household chores.
The confining hours around the wash tub are a thing of the past.
Until recently, that meant gadgets and appliances, but the internet has ushered in a new kind of convenience: on-demand services that quickly match clients with freelancers who will do just about anything.
The on-demand industry is one of the fastest growing in the world. Transportation and food delivery are still the biggest sectors, but new services in areas like home and pet care are popping up all the time. There's even a service that matches you with goats in your area who will come by and trim your lawn.
Goats? Oh, we are totally doing that. It's an economy driven not just by technology, but changing social demographics. Not too long ago, it was standard for every household to have one full-time employee who took care of the vast majority of household chores, and all for free. Thanks, Mom.
But unpaid work is still work, and since more women have entered the workforce, it makes sense that we're starting to assign dollar values to the tasks most of us got to take for granted.
So, how do you know whether you can afford to outsource your chores? When considering one of these on-demand services, the first question you need to ask yourself is whether this is leverage or luxury.
Leverage is more like an investment. Let's say that by hiring a lawn service, you save yourself 2 hours of yard work, and you invest that time into your side business screen printing t-shirts to sell on Etsy. Like the responsible side hustler you are, you've already calculated that you make about $25 of profit for every hour you put in, and since the lawn service costs $40, congratulations! You've successfully leveraged your money to make more money. In other words, as long as you're able to make more per hour than what you're paying someone else, you're coming out ahead.
But let's say that's not an option for you. Maybe you work 40 hours a week with no overtime and no side hustle. Then you're likely outsourcing chores for a different reason, to free up personal time to do stuff you actually like. That puts this service into the luxury category. Luxuries are not necessarily bad things, but they are harder to judge economically because you can't really put a dollar value on me time.
But one thing's for sure, no luxury is worth going into debt over. So that's why you've got to mind the gap. If any outsourcing service pushes your monthly expenses above your monthly income, you'll have to forego it or find some other place to cut back.
That means you'll need a clear idea of how much these services actually cost, and some of them aren't very transparent. Grocery delivery services like Instacart are clear about their delivery fees, but they also charge hidden markups on many items that are constantly fluctuating. There's no way to know how much extra you're paying without going down to the store to price check, but that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
One Instacart user actually did the math and posted his results on Reddit. Turns out he paid an average of 42.8% markup, including some items that cost well more than double their in-store price. When you factor in the service and delivery fees, he spent almost $70 not to go to the supermarket.
That might be on the high end of the spectrum, but the point is, the easier these services are to use, the less likely we are to keep track of the costs. When you pay a cab driver in cash, you're very aware of the value of that ride. But with Uber, you can just get out of the car and walk away. Depending on how you approach it, the on-demand economy can be a solid investment, a path to more freedom, or, if you're not careful, a financial ball and chain that could drag you deeper into debt.
We often recommend that saving for retirement should take priority over present comfort, because there will come a day when you really won't be able to mow your own lawn or shop for your own groceries, and you'll want to be able to afford those services then. And that's our 2 cents.
So if you'd previously had a business where you're going into work, or you had a team that was working with you, if you're in lockdown and you've maybe lost your job, you're wondering, how do I recreate that? The beautiful thing about outsourcing is, first of all, you don't have to pay for other people's premises, you don't have to pay for their insurance, you don't have to pay for their visas, you don't have to pay for their meals. You don't even have to worry about any of their headaches and their family problems. Now, I'm not saying that you can't get close to them and you can't have relationships with them, but these are things that they will do, because what you do is they do a job for you, you pay them money, and that's it. You could have a ton of people all working with you, and you could even be somebody that they outsource for their business as you produce something. So you can produce something, somebody hires you and your team to do something for them, and you pay your team from out of that. You can start off with zero if you get the dynamics right and the cash flow right for that. So people are going to say, Ernesto, how challenging is it to look after outsourced staff? We've been working with outsourced staff for like 10, 15 years. What would you say are the criteria that you need to get right for that?
Well, there's 2 things, and let me just backtrack a little bit, because I think you're going to find these insights very valuable. First of all, you should not only see outsourcing as hiring somebody to do some of your tasks. You can also see outsourcing by figuring out who are the people which are already achieving some of the stuff that you would like to achieve, and try to see how they have done it. Basically follow the clue. So basically find out how it has been done, so that you can also do the same thing. So you can see it in both ways. You can see it in how to delegate. So delegation is part of outsourcing. The other part of outsourcing is outsourcing the idea creation, or who has achieved that. Now, let me just put this into perspective so that you can actually get it completely right. Dave and I, we have been working with a number of speakers and we have helped them get themselves completely branded, and we were providing a done with you kind of service. However, what we suddenly started realizing was that, because of course people had to figure out, well, I have to do this and I have to do the other, and I do not know the technical stuff, and I do not know how to do this, and I do not know how to reduce the pictures and how to do video editing and all these kind of things. Then you suddenly start getting completely overwhelmed and you go into complete halt. So if you want to reinvent yourself, you need to figure out, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. These are the skills that I require to have. I don't have 9 or 10 of those skills. Where can I find the people that can actually do all these little bits and pieces for me? And that's how you have to think on outsourcing. It's not like, well, I would like to actually get an employee to be working for me, because right now I do not have anything to delegate with. So before you actually get into outsourcing, right now, outsourcing and reinvention, one of the things that you need to say is, okay, I want to accomplish this. In order for me to accomplish this, I need to know how to do SEO. I need to know how to do video editing. I need to know how to build a page. I need to know how to, I don't know, whatever it is. Okay, so I need that skill, that skill, that skill, that skill, that skill. And then you put together in different ways, because right now you can even hire in Pakistan. For our friend Rihanna Lawala has now a system what I think is about $100 a month, that you can have somebody working with you full time for $100, or you can get somebody in Fiverr, or you can get somebody in different things. So, but before you actually figure out what you're going to be outsourcing, the first thing that you need to do is you have to say, what are the skills that I require in order for me to accomplish that specific goal that I would like to get? And then you start figuring out who can actually help you do that. Does that answer your question, Dave?
It's a great way of answering your question. I was actually going to say about how you look after your staff when you're doing it. And you have to be very precise, because they are following your lead. You're paying them to follow a lead. of what you're suggesting. If you throw too much at them and say, right, just work it out, you might end up disappointed, and then you have an argument about doing it financially. Who pays for the time that was used up? Doing it through something like Fiverr or freelancers or any of these kind of websites means that the money goes into a thing called escrow. So it sits there until both sides are happy that they've delivered or they've received what they need to. And if there is a dispute, then it goes up to the website and they'll make a decision. But that way you don't send money across, it disappears, and you don't get your website. And it's worth considering, especially as I think that with the way that that's going to explode over the next couple of weeks, months, there will be a lot of fraud going on. So just make sure you protect yourself by going with the right people. If this is useful stuff for you, by the way, make sure you leave comments. Got any questions? Put them down into the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to think along the lines of what you're doing. And we'd love to be able to suggest stuff for you too. And as always, we're available on all platforms. What do we need to do to make sure that everybody reaches us and we can get out to them, Ernesto?
Well, just make sure that you are subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure to contact us there on toiletpaperdiaries.com, which, make sure that you are, of course, going there to Toilet Paper Diaries, and that you keep on watching and that you keep on seeing every single episode that we're putting together for you. It's very important. If you're listening to us in the podcast, we also like to tell you how much we appreciate us. I mean, right now, everybody which is listening to us is right. It's, I mean, the listening, how do you say, audience? The listening audience is it's growing, and we feel very happy that you guys are there. We're incredibly grateful. We're doing this for you, and we hope that at some point you will also let us know. What all the stuff that you have been sharing has been super, super helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ernesto, and thank you for staying with us. As long as you're watching us, we'll still create content and work really hard to get you to where you need to be.
Last week, we actually mentioned that Jimmy Kimmel was out of the scene, that he actually had Hankey's purse. Well, right now, everybody's gone. Jimmy Fallon, Trevor Noah, absolutely everybody's gone. So right now, guess what? We are still here, and we will continue here. Everybody's gone. Everybody's gone.
Wow, lightweights. Now, here's the thing I think about that. They may have taken a well-deserved break, but they have really cut a lifeline to so many people who needed to have that personal touch, that conversation from the team that gives you a conscience. They've been the conscience for many people about the stuff that's been going on around the world because they don't trust the news. They need a comedian to be able to share their inner thoughts and make them feel the world's all right. So I wonder what's going to happen with stepping into that mark. I mean, we'll still be around. We'll help as much as we can do. But I hope they come back, to be honest with you. Well-deserved break, but you've got a week, guys. Get back into Interesting.
Yeah. Well, we also took a break, but we took a break for a different reason. We just thought that we had to reinvent ourselves, talking about reinvention. So we basically took a break to reinvent ourselves. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason why they're also taking a break. Of course, it's summer, but I think it's also time for them to take a break. Interesting enough, and this is something that I already predict.
Welcome to Tech That Matters. This window transforms into a balcony, giving a city apartment an outdoor space in 55 seconds. This futuristic face mask lets you breathe freely and have your smile seen. This portable hand washing and sanitizing station keeps on-the-go professionals safe. This smart workout mat lets you stream fitness classes with live AI that assesses your form. This home lift helps people with reduced mobility and is an alternative to stair lifts. This at-home sauna unfolds from the wall and transforms into a wellness spa with 5 climate zones. This snowplow blade expands from 8 feet to 10.5 feet with the push of a button. This biometric outdoor padlock has fingerprint activation for up to 10 users. This futuristic fitness machine combines VR gaming and exercise while simulating flight. This solar-powered table charges your phone and plays music with 360-degree sound. This air filter uses moss, coconuts and sheep's wool to purify your home or office. This railcar mover easily moves railcars weighing up to 250,000 pounds. This pill-sized oral vaccine jet could replace painful needle vaccinations. This device converts your bike into an e-bike in just seconds. See you again really soon.
So when I watch that, Ernesto, I'm thinking, take my money, take my money. These are great inventions. I want some. Do you have an invention in your head that you've ever wanted to share with the world? Or you're not going to say it now because somebody will steal the idea?
Absolutely. I have one that is just really making me very excited because I think it's an incredible opportunity. I won't share it right now, but I will definitely share it a little bit in the future. But one of the things which is very important is that on the last crisis that we had in 2008, I think it was, several of the best inventions that we're having right now just got started. So Uber got started, and we got Pinterest, and we got a number. Airbnb, I think, also was born there. So right now, what we can certainly predict that it's going to happen is that the creative juices of people are going to start happening. And right now, we were for 3 months in the scary phase. Oh my goodness, what we're going to do. Right now, I think it's time that we accept that this is the way that we're going to go. And now it's time to reinvent ourselves and start thinking on expansion and how to really implement those great ideas that we can possibly have.
Absolutely. If you love what we're doing here, by the way, make sure you share us, have a watch party, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let as many people as possible know about this. We do this deliberately to give you the opportunity to learn as much as you can. And also we know when people say, oh my goodness, that show's great. Why didn't we know about it? Because not enough people shared it. So make sure that you do that as well. And so as we've talked about those inventions that happened in 2008, one of my favorite ones is Airbnb, not just because it really usurped the hospitality business and challenged the hotels, but it really allowed people to make money for themselves just by having their own property. And that was fantastic. But of course, when people aren't traveling, people aren't staying in anyone else's property, that brings a whole new challenge. So if you've got an existing business, you're probably thinking, I don't want to invent anything. I just want to be able to pivot. So have you wondered how to be able to pivot properly? Well, Airbnb are fascinating.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Okay, good to go.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm calling here from Iceland, which is interesting in these times. We are quite famous for spending a lot of time inside. So this is the song from Mom.
Italy! I hope you guys are good. I know it's complicated there.
Are we waiting for someone else?
We did about 110 concerts last year in real life, in the flesh. And all of a sudden it just stopped.
8 hearts, 10 of clubs. Boom!
I see one already. Oh, upside down? Okay.
One leg, second leg.
Oh,
Stay safe.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
And there you go. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this clip that we have shown you from Airbnb. Unfortunately, in the process, we lost the signal from Dave all the way from Dubai, and I had to just finish this video. And I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to tell you thank you very much for watching. And remember, subscribe, and we'll see you very soon in the Toilet Paper Diaries or in Fast Forward. See you soon. Bye-bye.